Welcome to the Dice Box and Tombstone Blues after a brief Dunwall-related hiatus, which I still have to post at some point. I'll get there. I've been having a week off. Leave me alone. Previously, this bunch rode into the wastes, trying to track Jillian's possessed husband, Isaac, and whatever he is working with, and ultimately whoever they're working, or whatever they are working for. They found a town in the wastes, which is apparently being turned into some kind of death cult. The preacher man, who is their doctor from the Hillcrest Sanitarium incident, as far as they can tell anyway, is apparently now being a preacher man and telling them that the horrible things that have been done to the wastes is all God's plan. That this is his remaking of the world in his own image. Or something. But, of course, these three are just like, what? No! Bullshit! Excuse me! They began finding this out upon finding a young man having been crucified a ways outside of town and a little ways away from a farmstead, sort of outside the town limits. They went to the farmstead to let them know what had become of their family member, and they met Louis, Prudence, Hank, and Trudy, and found out about their other daughter, Cassie, aptly named because she apparently has visions, true visions, prophecy, all that kind of thing, and she got yoinked, and that's why their son got crucified, because he did not like this idea and decided to hit Isaac with a shovel. Good on him, I'm sorry, but seriously. No offense. But, their current plan of action, as I recall it, was they're going to get some rest, and in the morning they're going to infiltrate the town and see if they can't find Cassie. And at least find out what the hell is going on before they make their next move. So yeah, they settled down for the evening after Louis had a bit of a chat with Aloy about stuff. Just reassurance more than anything else. Hoping, perhaps, that reassurance about her place in the group would let her calm down and be the asset he knows she can be. Because apparently this individual ran with a group not unlike yours once before. And has that little bit of gift of his own. Which, again, he'd been really hoping would skip his kids. Most of them, as far as he can tell. He doesn't know about Hank and Trudy yet. Not so far. He's relieved about this. But yes, Aloy was hunkered down in the parlor. Reba was in the boys' room, and Jillian was in Cassie's room. And come morning, all of y'all wake up to smell of eggs, bacon, waffles, and the thump, 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 thump of little feet that don't have an inside.
Jillian gets up and takes another brief look around Cassie's room.
Okay, is she looking for anything in particular?
If Cassie might have left anything foresight that she had. She's not gonna root around, just anything left on the
So that's a perception check.
Yeah.
Nothing obvious unless she's being intrusive. I mean, there's a couple of books. Yeah, and obviously there is a small bookshelf. There are a couple of books in it. The various places where somebody could potentially tuck something. But if you're just scanning rather than opening things,
Yeah, she's just scanning.
yeah, there's nothing obvious.
Okay. She'll head out.
And Reba?
No, I mean, there's no need for her to look around or anything, so she'll probably just get up, gather herself, and head
The
out.
the Gay bear is on the pillow next to her head.
Sort of, yeah, kind of.
It's just sitting.
Pat.
Not moving.
Okay. Just she'll set it in the bed, tuck it in, for lack of a better idea.
And is probably looking a little, what the fuck, when she comes downstairs. So Jillian sees Reba probably meets her in the corridor actually with that look on her face.
Yeah, stepping out of the room with a look. WTF?
Jillian gives her a very pointed look.
I left it on the dresser.
Left what on the dresser?
Opens the door and just points at the bear.
The bear's actually not on the bed anymore. It's sitting on the windowsill. So she's pointing at the bed, and the bed is perfectly made. And then...
Looks back to Reba.
I put it on the dresser. I woke up, it was next to my head. Now it's over there. I suppose it makes sense. It probably wants to be where it can see the door. So, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Anyway.
Okay. Jillian heads to the kitchen.
Yeah,
character, is there like is there a check I can make to like have some inkling of whether or not I should worry about this?
Arcana check?
That's okay. That's what I thought. 12.
Gay likes his pranks. That's about all you've got.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the bear, just like, like I get it. That was good. Yeah. Full annoyance, you know what I mean? And then continue on downstairs.
Yeah. And Aloy, of course, is already downstairs, but being woken by smell of breakfast and stompy feet.
Nah,
Boop boop.
Morning, Muffin.
Boop boop. Bonk.
Scritch.
Yeah, and you guys come down and you hear that fingernails on metal thing, which is the usual Aloy is lavishing Muffin with attention. Aloy doesn't even notice that noise anymore. Yeah, so it's just kind of, even from the parlor, it's just, always makes your teeth kind of... It leans neck as far as possible towards kitchen door. Boop! Apparently,
then polishing. You get to be sparkly today.
Boop!
We got a lot of work to do today, Aloy.
Boop boop. and actually starts nudging Aloy probably off the sofa, thump, and then
Yeah, I was already getting off and just get shoved the rest of the way and fall down
boomf,
on my face.
boomf, 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 and it's just nudging your prone body to sort of poof, up to the kitchen, up to the kitchen.
Muffin! Going to eventually manage to scramble to my feet, get my glasses, and then get out there.
Yeah. See, you get treated to Aloy getting butted into the kitchen, trying to adjust her glasses on her face, with Muffin just butt into the kitchen. Boop 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 boop.
I hate you.
Reba just sees Muffin butting Aloy and is just like, thank you.
Boop boop. And he goes back into the parlor into box mode.
I didn't forget about the food.
Boop.
Right.
Muffin has booped. Oh, please, you love it, you know it.
I do, but not my point.
Prudence is, does it really take that much prodding to... You haven't even... I mean, was dinner so bad that you had to be herded to breakfast?
No,
Well,
I
it
just
has to be
forget to
herded
eat.
to most places.
You forget... It looks at Reba. What?
Aloy is Aloy.
That's a tautology, ain't it?
Yep.
To be fair, you don't know what a tautology is. You are not educated.
Jillian stares blankly.
Just, I guess?
Right. Aloy, while you're having some breakfast, why don't you explain to them what a tautology is?
Okay.
It sets scrambled eggs, waffles, bacon, coffee. Poof.
I'm just going to scribble out the dictionary definition onto a chunk of my book and just...
Cheater.
So basically when you say something is like it is itself, or shaped like itself, or compare something in any way to what it already is, that's what you're working with tautology.
Alright.
Uh-huh.
A horse is a horse, of course, of course.
Exactly. I mean, it's not wrong, is it? A horse is a horse, but in the same fell swoop, it is a weird thing to say when you think about it.
I suppose.
I think tautology as a device is all about emphasis.
Yep.
I mean,
But if it's
that's kind of what I was going for, yeah.
but if it's taken literally, then it is kind of weird.
That's
Fair, though. No offense, Aloy, but so's Aloy.
Well,
We love her.
that's the thing. The other problem with a tautology is it doesn't actually explain what it is you want to explain. It explains it to you because you know all the things that Aloy represents. But if you don't know what a horse is, and somebody asks you, if you ask somebody what a horse is, and they just tell you a horse is a horse, that doesn't answer your question.
Fair.
Louis winds up in the doorway going, "You should have been a schoolmarm." Yeah, but then we wouldn't have met. All right, you shouldn't have been a schoolmarm, but you also should have.
He's not wrong.
Well,
to clarify, I just get really into my projects and then I just sort of forget that time is a thing. And I focus so much I don't get hungry.
Except then
And
you have to stop focusing eventually, and then you're weak and shaky and you got a headache.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So your muffin there has now started making sure that you eat when you're supposed to.
Seems like
You didn't do that on purpose.
that wasn't in the initial set of protocols. That it definitely wasn't.
Well, it should have been. Otherwise, you're going to starve to death. And besides, if you're working on a project and you're not focusing as well as all that because you're hungry, and you don't know that you're not focusing as well as all that because you're hungry, aren't you going to mess something up?
I need to do the math on that. And pencil comes up and equations are happening.
And she actually pulls out a scrap of butcher's paper and a chunk of pencil, does her own bits of equation. Intelligence check.
On character sheet, comply with my orders.
She beats you at the maths. You're figuring out a factor, and she slides the butcher paper in front of you, something like that.
Damn it!
That's why you need breakfast in you.
Fair enough.
Takes both bits of paper and puts them in the fire so that they can help keep the fire going. Sorry about that. Not
Jillian's busy wolfing down her breakfast.
well. It's not very often I get to talk to somebody on a more intellectual footing. And first, I have to make her understand that there's a line where it stops being conversational and starts being kind of full of itself. Pat, pat, pat. She's basically just treating Aloy like one of her kids. Eat your breakfast, dear. Louis
Complying with this request.
and Louis is looking at her, that looks at Jark and Reba like, "Welcome to my family." Yeah.
Reba's just smiling, just kind of rolling with it.
So, when you're done eating, should I make myself scarce with the little ones so you can make your plans? All right then. I imagine that that'd go easier if your friend Spot wouldn't mind. Spot is sort of sat on the floor next to Reba's chair, just sort of looking up like, is there bacon?
She'll take a small bit and hold it down.
Numph. Actually, a little leap.
on.
Numph.
Hold on. couple of bits.
Nump, nump, nump. I'll get her a bit of her own. But sometimes it's nice to be fed at table. I figure the kids will probably want to give her a little something too. So, more food than pets?
Yes, more foods and pets.
You're gonna be okay without me.
Yes.
Okay.
They need you.
Okay. And you see the ears kind of and perk up a bit. But of course, it's only Reba who gets the okay.
I'm going to, if Spot goes anywhere near past me, I'm going to attempt to sneak a bit of bacon. I was like an actual whole piece this time.
Okay, give me a sleight of hand check.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. 15.
What's everybody's passive perception?
Passive perception. You went quiet on my end. All I got was
Passive.
perception.
Yeah, passive perception.
Okay, is 13.
So yeah, Reba misses it. Jillian?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Our passive is 12.
Yeah, no. You guys miss it entirely. Louis clearly notices, Aloy will note, but doesn't care. Yeah, you do wind up with Spot largely unnoticed under Aloy's chair, gnawing away at this bit of bacon. Gonna take a while because it's a bit of bacon. You do occasionally hear crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. You know that cat eating dry food sound. Yes, breakfast happens. It's a better breakfast than you guys have had in a while. I mean, there's actual waffles.
Yeah, Reba is in between bites is probably very much thanking Prudence for the food. It's a very wonderful thank you.
Well, you're helping out. We're obviously gonna feed you. Besides, there's after all your work, I think I'm gonna be going and checking the orchard for the fruits that you might have encouraged. There might be apple pie tonight. The kids, the twins are just yay! Apparently, it's been a while.
That gets a big, like, heartfelt smile out of Reba at their enthusiasm. Just like, okay, I missed that. It's been a while since we've been around little ones.
It's been a while since you've been around people.
Yeah. So,
nobody but us.
And the creepiness of the waste, yeah. So this is helpful.
Balm for the soul, as it were.
But yeah, eventually, breakfast is finished. Prudence looks like she's about to start doing the dishes, and Louis is just, no, chef. You go out and you see to the apples with the little ones and the cat. I'm sure I can get somebody to help me out with the dishes. Then starts collecting stuff up as Prudence herds the kid away. Spot trotting after them, tail high. Entirely proud to be their guardians. And Muffin from the parlor leans head out. Boop! And sort of, am I going there too? What's going on?
Jillian to Aloy.
Boop.
Muffin's gonna stand out awfully in town.
I have ways around that.
What sort of ways?
Pulling out the sonic screwdriver. Click. Whir. Click.
Louis is just...
You get used to it. It just takes a while.
No, you don't. You learn to tolerate it. You don't get used to it. I can see it in your face.
Fair
Jillian
point.
remains
That is
silent.
more accurate.
And yeah, you can make Muffin look like not what Muffin is, but if Muffin decides to make noise, or somebody decides
I'd like to think Muffin has...
and somebody decides to pet,
Sorry. Yeah, that'd be a problem. we need to figure out. Well, I need to figure out how far I can bring Muffin in so that Muffin can come to our rescue if needed, while not also setting off every alarm bell in that place.
And from the parlor, boop, 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 boop. Okay. Look, you all know how you deal with things with Muffin. You gotta talk this through. I can't really get involved in the plan making until you let me know what it is you're going to do about the literal and not so literal big problem.
And for now, we still need to gather information, so that means we have to sneak in at least once, just by ourselves, wander around. So if you were
Exactly.
along, that would definitely help
Well,
point us at what's what.
well, yeah, I'm doing that, but you haven't decided what you're gonna do with Muffin yet.
Hmm.
I'm not getting involved until you decide what you're gonna do with Muffin.
Think we could bring Muffin to thinking how far out can something be before it gets noticed coming into town on average?
That depends on how busy the road is gonna be. There's not a lot of cover. I mean, we're in the middle of the wastes. You can't just stick him in someone's bean field.
Yeah, as I did that before and it worked, but this time it probably won't.
Okay. Yeah, no. I mean, somebody in town is gonna look. Somebody coming in through town is gonna look and see this thing and is gonna go and tell bar tales about it, so.
Yeah. Like, I want to bring Muffin, because Muffin's carrying most of my stuff. Muffin's carrying my tools. Muffin's carrying my kit.
Well, can't you just take what if your kit is portable? If we're only going in for looking.
Yeah, I could. I don't like being without Muffin in general, just because if things do go sideways, that's a lot less of me being effective.
If things go sideways, we're going to be focusing on getting back out of that more than anything else.
That's pretty much my entire point. I am less effective by half if Muffin is not there. However, we can still work around that. So Muffin.
Yeah, that didn't sound like the point you were making, I think is what those facial expressions are saying.
Besides, Aloy, you're selling yourself short. Muffin is Muffin, and you're you. And yeah, the two of you work great, obviously, but you're capable without Muffin. Muffin is capable without you. But, yeah. Anyway.
Besides, if anything notices us and decides to try following, if we have to get out of town fast, it's good that we have something there to trample. They won't be expecting that. Last line of defense before they get to my family.
Fair
Yeah, so
enough.
we take Muffin to near-ish, maybe. Or no. Oh, I'm sorry, I
Muffin
misunderstood
stays
you.
here and acts as a
I
guard.
misunderstood. I got you now.
Yes,
I
if
think that would be for the best.
yes, if they
I figure if there's nowhere, because as he's just said, there's nowhere within range I can bring him. So safest bet, even if that cuts my effectiveness some, is just Muffin security guard mode.
boop, boop,
Yeah, I mean,
boop.
Spy can only do so much.
I don't know. You ever seen a really pissed off cat?
A few times, yeah.
2 words: face blender.
Yeah, pretty much. I've known some cats whose favorite maneuver is going up to upper window and leap onto somebody's head from the top.
Aloy, how long is that illusion going to last on the rest of us?
Per instance, about an hour apiece.
Alright.
Yeah, that's about how
So
long
you
mine
can be
lasts
fast.
too. I can show you about where a good point is to cast for maximum time. It's not like I always go into Thanos myself.
Yep.
Usually seems a bit of a bad idea.
I'll plug the spells in now, so we have the whole approach time with them. If we need to turn them on earlier than we're expecting.
Fair enough.
Out comes the greenbacks. Out comes the screwdriver, and I'm doing one
oh.
for each save myself.
Oh dear.
So 2 of them, one for Jillian and one for.
Yeah,
Reba.
unfortunately, in the course of that, there is just barely audible over the noise of the sonic screwdriver, a minor crack sound. And when Louis looks up, he looks at a somewhat broken, very old-looking wine glass.
Might do that outside.
I could fix that.
Yeah, I should have warned you maybe not to do that where there's Prudence's hope chest glassware.
I'm going to switch tools, pull out the kit that's a little bit more ready for that, and let me see if I have that on hand. And go about mending that once I get the rest of the shards.
It's more a couple of cracks. Nothing's fallen out yet, but it's more a different setting on the screwdriver and just. Okay, thank you. Maybe to be doing that outside.
Yeah, I'll save that for when we leave. Anyway, gonna hand the one I did manage to do before that crack happened to Jillian.
Thank you. Louis, I was thinking, if anyone in town does ask what we're doing here, I'd tell them we're trophy hunters looking for something to shoot and, sell to a circus. Couldn't imagine why anyone else comes out here from outside the wastes.
Well,
What
given
would you tell us to do?
given there's so few of us, probably less a circus, because you're not carrying enough gear, and you're not.
We'd be looking for trophies to sell to a circus.
Well, yes, but you still have to get it to the circus, is the thing, and you don't have the bits for that. But there's plenty of trophies to be had that. Okay, I'm just gonna wait until the sirens stop. Thank you. There's more to trophies than live prey, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Furs, horns, given where we are, innards, rare meats. You just say trophy, and people are going to assume dead. Which, given there's only the 4 of us and more firepower than anything like nets and big draft horses and those big wagons with the bars on the sides. We don't look like the kind of people who. I mean, I suppose we could look like the kind of people who deal with the circus folk, but there's not enough of us for a catch. Not for anything big. Not for anything circus big. Besides which, from what I know of the areas outside the West, Nobody's gonna want anything from out here. It'd be nice, and was nice for one or two, right up until one of them breaks loose and kills half the audience. There's a story that goes around Rutherford County about that. Apparently, there was innards strewn through every tree for 2 miles.
Not surprising. Foolish folk out there.
But that was years ago. They don't do that no more. Now you just get them stuffed.
Anything else you think we should be considering?
Well, if you might. Saying that you're hunters, trophy hunters, is a good start. That explains why you're armed anyway. But you're probably going to want to be saying more that you're in for supplies than you're actively hunting for something in this area. If only because I don't know what preacher man is telling people about some of the things that are out there. For all I know is telling them it's God's chosen beasts or some stupid shit like that.
That's a fair possibility.
So, it's a good enough place, and one of the only places where you can actually get a decent meal, a decent mug of beer, some shopping, that kind of thing. So, honestly, if it weren't for them already knowing you, you wouldn't have to look all that much different. But they do already know you, or at least the big problems do. And for all I know, they've been preaching about infidels or, again, some stupid shit like that.
We'll see soon enough, but for now.
Well, hopefully not too soon. Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, we're good for approach. I mean, I'm also interested in, are there any groups or places of townies that you're more likely to hear gossip or stray bits of information?
Looks at Jillian. Looks at Aloy. Sorry, looks at Jillian. Looks at Aloy. Looks at Reba. Looks back at Aloy. Looks at Jillian. Looks at Reba again, and just goes, "How long has she been in the West now?"
Well, there aren't
Besides
that
the
many
obvious
saloons
places.
in the wastes.
But you know what I mean. How long has she been outside of whatever rich house she used to live in?
A while, but as you've seen, she kind of.
I prefer to ask
fucking wow.
rather than just assume, because then I make an ass out of you and me.
Usually, in just about any town in the West, it's not, Eastern fancy accent thing. You get 3 places where you're gonna get your gossip and such from. There's the general store, but that tends to be more basic stuff. Who's selling what, whose crop went a good place. The public bits and pieces of people who are more or less sober. There's always the town drunk. You know this is a thing. There is the church, but nowadays the gossip happening in and around the church is probably not what you want to be listening to, because mostly it's going to be bullshit. But the saloon is always going to be the place where people go to sit and to talk. And, well, it's where they're having a couple of drinks and maybe aren't being that careful about what it is they're letting out of their mouths. I mean, fine, you're usually eating as well, so sometimes it's chewed food, but,
We'll avoid the church till last, just in case. Illusions or not.
No, I don't know what your supernaturally puissant things people are capable of doing.
Exactly.
That also begs the question, how long? Though we're dealing with those illusions, we've only got an hour. And this is all going to probably take well more than that.
The
Well,
reason I'm asking is because I can cast it multiple times. You will be walking around getting your information however you want. I am hoping to approach one way, then go to a place that's going to be particularly gossip heavy out of the options that are just presented. Switch disguises to look like someone who's more in tune, more specific to there, and then just sit around until something happens. Because last time I tried to interact, that went badly.
well, there's another similar kind of option. We've only got a certain amount of time that we can do these things. And there's a couple of different places that we can turn up in. Two that are of any particular help. And each in and of themselves about an hour is probably fair enough. But there's still two places that need to be covered. So we split up. Two of us... I'm gonna stop talking.
No, that's sorry. That was me trying to nod and say yeah, but it actually came out of my mouth instead of trying to.
Yeah, but it's still something Aloy would do, so... You did it?
Sorry. Shutting up now.
Splitting up's an awful risk.
Well, the general store and the saloon aren't that far away. And I seen you now, I can tell one of you if we get into some kind of trouble.
Oh, if trouble starts, I expect we'll hear it awfully swiftly.
I meant before it got to the loud and the gunshots.
Alright then.
I suppose what it depends is because I can only do this one way. I can talk to one of you, but I can't make one of you talk to me. Although I can check in on you periodically if that's a thing. So that might be another option. But basically, whichever one of you is going to be the most problematic, probably better come with me. And everybody's looking at Aloy. So I guess I'm with this one. Looks at Reba with this long-suffering expression of, do I have to?
Alright. Think you two could go to the general store then?
You sure I suppose you two will probably be alright in the saloon. Just be careful about who you're going to be talking to. Barman's usually alright, but you know that there is... I suppose there's probably going to be more of the busybodies in the general store, which is why... How are you on an accent that isn't that?
Terrible.
You're gonna be mute, okay?
Can do.
Really? I've seen no proof of this so far.
Yeah, Reba's looking
You'll
at
see
with
actual proof when we get there, then.
You could have just proven it by keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Muffin, come on. Let's set you up outside.
Boop. Clunk, 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 clunk. You gotta be real specific with her, yeah? You're probably a little bit gentler, but it's first thing in the morning. I'm worried about my Cassie. I really do not have it in me for this bullshit.
We'll get her back soon.
Mm-hmm. That's number one.
That's the problem. Is it's gonna be a problem. Just actually trying to find out where she is. I don't know if they're keeping her at the church or what. Again, this is all kind of recent, but
If they weren't using the church as a base, is there any location?
oh
Town.
no, I imagine they're using the church at the base, but you don't keep all your eggs in one
Right.
basket.
Oh yeah, no, that's understandable. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that. Okay, cool.
If it's any place, I would imagine it's the jail. The jailhouse hasn't been seeing very much use lately. It's been mostly how is best to put this? Old Testament bullshit. And some New Testament bullshit. We've had we don't have lady entertainment in our saloons anymore. Last one's got stoned in the streets.
I think there's only so many sturdy places that the preacher will be able to keep a watch on, not have anyone nosing about easily. So, the church or the jail. I mean, how many other places would have a cellar or the like?
Just about any house you care to name, we get tornadoes, you know.
I see.
But not every place got tornadoes. To be fair, your house had a storm cellar.
Okay. Well, once we've had a look around, we'll be able to figure a better idea.
I do figure it's either it's probably not gonna be the church just because it's too obvious. I figure it's probably the jail because there's like I said, nobody ever uses it no more.
It's not used. It's already reinforced, and you can keep. It's easy to keep people out of there.
Yes, particularly when you got the lawman in your pocket.
Yep.
All right then, we shouldn't.
There is one more thing I should probably warn you about, which ties into the stoning in the streets part and why I'm a little bit concerned about being the one going with your friend. I understand why, but one of you gotta warn her, because I don't know how she's gonna take it from me. It is not gonna be pleasant out there. People are gonna treat it like it's normal, but this is some of the punishments for infractions that aren't really. I mean, who really cares about what a woman or a man in some cases is doing with their body? That kind of thing. Taking this new Lord's name in vain and that kind of crap. It, like I say, they don't use the jail no more. They use stonings, stocks, crucifixion. There's a gibbet in the town now.
Out of character, I don't recall exactly what that is.
The platform thing with the hangman's.
That's what that is actually called. Gotcha. Okay, I forgot it had a term. Thank you.
They go for shall not suffer to live. I don't know if there's still up higher. There might be. I don't know how recently it's been used, but it's set up in case they got a proper witch. Looks at Jillian. They might or might not consider you a proper witch. They definitely consider her. Nods in the direction Aloy went. They consider her a proper witch.
Jillian grits her teeth.
I don't think they'd be much better about you, but you're more of a savage, so you probably just get hanged. Prudence never said whether that was a. I think she says both are used, but hung is more common. Anyway. But yeah, her, they'd do the poking and the attempted drowning and then the burning and all that wonderful stuff that some of the less of godly men have occasionally done. And if your friend is the type who gets like black powder about this kind of thing, I think maybe it's gonna be a problem, yeah. So I wonder if one of you is maybe a little better at talking to her. Possibly you, Jillian, just on the grounds that you are actually a woman of God, and you understand what it is to be offended by this. But you can also hammer home that you gotta not react this time.
All right. All right.
We do that before we do anything else. Just, I want it done before we set out. Besides, I still gotta finish up
course.
these dishes. You wanna help me dry? And,
Aye.
and Aloy, I take it, is outside doing a little bit of grooming on Muffin.
Yep, and also as much of a perimeter check as I can manage while still being in view, so that we can sort of plan Muffin's circuits and check locations.
Yeah, it's mostly the fence around the house that's your primary thing that keeps Muffin in line of sight to the apple orchard where what mini apple orchard ish that's out back. So basically, it's just perimeter around the farmhouse is your best bet. And while being polished, you do have Muffin just going boop 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 boop. Just happily booping to himself. The Chocobo theme, yes. And
Aloy,
oh, comes Jillian, yes.
Yeah.
Jillian steps up beside her.
Muffin stops booping and takes comforting box mode formation next to Aloy. Chunk.
Louis was saying what we're gonna see out in town is terrible things, cruel things, things that usually you and I and then Reba put a stop to swiftly. We didn't have to restrain ourselves with good reason, but it's different this time. We have to be careful, all of us.
So, just so I'm getting this, you're saying that if one were to see someone being a asshat of proportions such that it would crush a mountain, I can't shoot them?
Not yet.
Oh, that's gonna be infuriating.
I'm very aware. I am glad you're still with us on this, Aloy.
I want to say things, but the best I've got right now is thank you. Everything else is just being a jumble.
It's gonna be hard to put a lot of all this into words, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, at the rate we're going, probably have to put a lot of it into bullets, knowing our luck.
All in due time. Jillian pats her shoulder. She's ready to go.
And I'm assuming that Aloy is also using this time to finish the disguise self greenback for Reba, because she didn't get to finish that because
Yep.
she was breaking glassware. And so, yeah, eventually Louis and Reba come out after having finished up the dishes. And Louis took a quick detour to give Prudence and the kids a kiss goodbye. And starts you on the more the side route to town. Because obviously there's a main road, but you guys took one of the smaller back trails, and he's taking you into town about the same way. Not that it makes that much difference either way, because there's not a whole lot growing, and it's not like anything's paved, but you can see very distinct road, and in this case it's more of a beaten track that's largely used by Louis and his family and whoever might be coming to visit in that general area, just to deliver stuff one way or the other.
At one point, Reba will get Jillian's attention. Just be like, I'm just gonna probably let you do most of the talking on this, because I'm gonna say something I should, or say something that ain't right according to them. They're all God this, God that. Yeah, that's more your area of expertise. I know it's different. I know that what they're doing isn't that, but I just
Jillian just nods very
You're
hard jawed.
you're at least a little bit likely to just uh, throw it all in with your stupid white boy god.
get the feeling if I say anything remotely like that, I'm as good as strung up. So yeah.
We are going to need to avoid that.
And, you're at the very least a little bit better at I mean, yeah, it's... I think what she's saying is, yeah, it's twisting your God's message, but you, at the very least, are looking at it from a perspective of, I know what the message is actually supposed to be, and I believe in it, so I can stifle this and turn it back to what is right, whereas we're just going, your stupid fucking white boy God. Either way is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I understand.
Her being uneducated, she wouldn't really. I don't know if she'd have the ability to be like, you have the terminology at least. That's basically what I was trying to go for there, but I was trying to get the words without the words because I
Yeah.
didn't know she'd have them.
Terminology, no. Terms, yes.
Okay. Okay, in which case, that and also you would have the terms. How to put it?
Narrative language, I think Prudence tends to say.
I suppose so.
I think.
It just means there's a way of talking that makes you sound like you, and your way is a shaman's way, and her way is a Yankee's way, and her way is a woman of God's way.
Yes,
That's true.
thank you. That is what I was trying to get across.
Also, to be fair, you sound more like their kind of people anyway. You can change the color of the skin, but unless you're real good, it's hard to change not just the accent, but there's whole pacing and how you build your sentences and all that kind of thing that you'd have to ask Prudence about. She could talk your ear off about it for a week.
Yes, of course.
This is why we got so many books. It's like she eats them. Okay, since we're almost there and I'm getting really sick of listening to Smeagol type, we're going to take our break
Sorry about
now.
that.
We're going to take our break now. He can do whatever he needs to do during that break time. And hopefully when we come back, I will have everybody's undivided attention while we sneak through town. And we're back. Currently sort of on around about the outskirts of town, getting to a point where you're just about in places where you might encounter other people. Which is where Louis stops you and goes, okay, so if we all are going in as bounty hunter types, which I guess makes sense. This one and me, we go to the general store, and I guess we pick you up some supplies while you're at it, because you gotta be running a bit low.
I could definitely use some fresh rations. Probably a bit of ammunition.
At the very least, if we got that cover story, we won't get too many suspicious looks. That's fine, and we can meet you at the tavern. There's a nice little unconsidered alleyway out to the back, where it won't matter so much if we change and I can get us out from there. But I'm not gonna get us in that way because I don't want us appearing out of nowhere. People like us, we're supposed to be, are supposed to kind of disappear without much of a trace, and anyone who sees us going into the tavern probably going to assume we're staying there.
Alright.
And if they get told different, well, we're strangers, we're just passing through. And if we're careful about not so much the asking questions, we can just look like we don't really give much of a shit. Which means whatever we see in town, we gotta look like we don't give much of a shit.
Of course.
I'm just saying.
Wonderful.
You.
Won't shoot anyone.
It's not what I mean, and you know it.
Yeah.
You play cards, you.
Poker face. Right, got it. Poker face.
Basically. You just try not to look at it. In the line of work of the trophy hunter, you don't much care.
Poker face, poker face, poker face, poker face.
Poker face, you say nothing if your accent is as bad as you say it is. I mean, it's not beyond reason that we'd have a northerner among us, but it makes you stand out and reminds them of who they're actually looking for. Assuming they know.
They probably have an idea, and the only other disguise option I have is getting rid of. I'm pointing to my hair. The coloration choice.
Well, you got the actual look of you is easy to change for a little while. I'm just meaning more out of character. It's not just a possibility that they know you. They know you're a northerner. Because remember, that doctor would have been the one your parents would have hauled you to.
Yeah, that's why she's pointing out that the only other disguise option would be removing this, and that disguise option will probably actually make the situation worse.
So you just use whatever you got. I'm not gonna call it magic because you might have another term for it. I don't know. Anyway, basically, you know what range riders, trophy hunters are supposed to look like. hate to say it, Reba. You know I hate to say it, but probably better us to stay as white. And does disguise self as perfectly average. Not too attractive, not too unattractive. Built but not woof, muscly. Keeps the approximate height and build just a little more like he actually still works out on the range. And in an accent that's clearly more local. We're all just gonna have to say that we don't necessarily trust the horses, or trust the people around here with the horses. Makes a certain amount of sense if you want to know the truth. People like we're supposed to be, they tend to not be the most trusting of folk. Better leave the horses hidden than tie 'em up in front of the general store and maybe get 'em stolen or worse. Particularly out here. Come on.
Right, I'm punching my disguised self, and I'm going to make myself look like a Johann von Generico version of that Calamity Jane from that video you see around Tumblr where she comes in, talks to the other woman. Basically a Generico version of that. Like,
So kind of a bit like Jillian herself looks, except smaller, slightly more awkward, and cute.
yep, cute plus a healthy dose of boring. To cover up the obvious bits that would be noticeable.
Reba?
She'll pull out the greenback and activate it, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word. Kinda,
Just squeeze it.
okay. Still not exactly sure how that all works, but okay. And yeah, it's just dumpy, plain.
Dumpy is probably a bad choice if you're a trophy hunter. You wouldn't really have
Okay. That's not. It's probably not. That's not the right word. Just because she's just like herself, but a little like more, not as shamanistic with her gear, and just very plain. She's been out in, if not the wastes, then at least out in the desert for some time. So very, like, everything's very faded and just sort of.
So you're lightening the skin tone to be more of a tan, probably changing the shape of the nose a little bit.
Nose, the cheeks a little, yeah. And of course
Yagwoodified
the hair.
Reba.
Yeah, and definitely the hair. It's more like really, really dry straw.
Jillian?
Yeah.
Jillian, think her skin gets a shade tanner, or her hair definitely gets like a dark brown, probably a little bit longer. She probably is a couple inches taller, but otherwise still, the lean, outdoors looking build.
Yeah. That all works well enough. Probably also a bit more generic up the face, because Jillian may have forgotten this, but she is not an unattractive woman. And attractive women, particularly in that kind of profession, wandering through saloons, which is where you guys are going, you don't want to be an attractive woman in a place like that. So, yeah. Probably a little leaner, probably a little less in the bust area. Couple of tweaks to the face so that the features are a little less well balanced than Jillian's tend to be. That all works. And on that note, all four of them stride into town. As advertised, town right from the outskirts where the residential areas tend to be is a little creepified. There's most of the front doors have got daubs of blood on them. In one case, there is a jackalope nailed to it. Getting further into the more commercial areas, the town square used to actually be quite nice. There's sort of a marble kind of almost wall in a circle, which probably used to be a fountain. But the fountain part's been knocked over. And there's wood set up, a fire ready to be primed with kerosene and lit, with a large stake in the middle of it. Next to all that, there is a small but perfectly functioning gibbet. On the other side, there's a kind of a couple of rows, in fact, of stocks. There's 3 of them are occupied. One is a rather beefy man, who's just about barely clinging to consciousness, and the fact that his back is effectively flayed explains why. That's all a mess, and it's been left exposed, so there's the occasional flies. One is a school marmish looking woman, and there's a pile of charred paper mess in front of her stocks, which probably means she was reading or teaching something she should not have been. It's debatable whether she's going to be able to get up after this, because one of her legs and basically all of her fingers have been broken. And the other one is a 13-year-old boy. He's not conscious. He's apparently been there a while. He's breathing, just about. Any thoughts, comments, things I should probably be asking for a performance check for?
Jillian grits her teeth.
Yeah, Jillian's gonna need a performance check.
Performance is probably the least of her concerns.
It's been sublimated a little bit into disgust, or at least she can hope that's what it looks like. What about the rest of you? And Louis is kind of exempt. He's kind of used to this by now. He's seen it before.
I mean,
Aloy is actually doing pretty well. Yeah.
19.
Yeah, I mean, after some of the shit you two saw in the Hillcrest Sanitarium, that's Jillian's having the problem because she remembers that possessed Isaac is part of all this, and it's in the name of the god she's sworn herself to, and it's yeah.
Yeah, Reba's,
Internal things are rumbling.
Yeah, there's
Reba's just sort of like white people problem. I'm here for Louis, so okay. I'm here for Louis and for Jillian, so the rest of it's sort of
yeah.
we can help them, great. If not, oh well.
The church isn't actually technically in the center of town. It's this building that's it looks like the average church. White, Not sure, but you think the doors are red? Sitting on a hill that seems to overlook the entire town. It's kind of interesting because the graveyard's been kind of built into the hill, so how they do burials is going to be interesting, although anyone who's died in any of that probably did not merit a space in their cemetery. Which point it's, alright. We too will pick up some supplies to get us going. You two grab us a beer, yeah?
Jillian just nods.
Yeah, Jillian's too busy gritting her teeth and probably doesn't trust herself to speak right now. Saloon's down yonder, I think. Yeah, that's it. It's a moderately sized saloon and seems to be not an inn, but just an actual saloon in its own right. There's a hotel and hostelry right next to it, and it's the fact that those two buildings are side by side that. But you know, it's on the same row as tailors, leather goods, blacksmith, and what might be the veterinarian, or over to the side so you can have your horse looked at by a professional and have them shoed over at the blacksmith in about the same spot, and you don't get the noise, the smell, the everything from that kind of situation. And off Aloy and Louis go. We'll start with you two, in point of fact.
Jillian marches her way up to the saloon, chin up a bit.
Enter. It's not very crowded this time of day. It's still a little early. In fact, it doesn't seem to be much of anybody except for a rather old party in a corner who's had already a few too many, and from the smell, if you get anywhere near him, is drinking what is effectively turpentine. It's entirely possible he can't afford much more than that. And when you two walk in, he turns around and goes, I advise you ladies to see to whatever business you got in this town and get out as fast as your horses can carry you. This place has gone entirely to shit. And the barman is just... Don't make me throw you out again. We really don't want to go through that again. Of course, I could always say something to them up the hill. I really don't want to do that either. They deserve a fucking warning. You've given them the warning. Now shut up.
Jillian opts to ignore that poor fellow and make her way to the bar counter.
That's it.
Yeah, Reba's following after, watching the conversation go. Is that okay? That's the end of it. All right, let's go.
And what can I do you ladies for?
A couple of beers to start.
It's a couple of coppers. And sets him down. Oh, what brings you to town?
Resupply.
All the way out here?
Ain't nothing else out here. Been out ranging for probably a few weeks now.
Ranging for anything in specific?
Big game. The type you don't find elsewhere.
Oh, I reckon if you wait around until about I suppose we might get a couple of folks in for lunch, but if you want the real stories of what's out in the wastes, eating folks' cattle and the like, you probably want to come by around dinner time.
We just might. Appreciate it.
Well, enjoy your stay. I mean, we've got the hostelry just next door. I wouldn't go trusting their kitchen, though. The cook's a bit of a fancy type. It's kind of hard to do fancy with the ingredients you get around here, but try us anyway. Well, if you want 3 different ways to stew a rattlesnake, it's
Well, we haven't been that desperate yet, but you know, wastes are what they are.
yeah, but you don't expect it. You expect it maybe over a fire if you're desperate. You don't expect it as the celebrated main course, you know?
I suppose it is hard to raise sheep out here or cattle.
We do all right. Had better luck with goats, though. Goats will eat damn near anything.
Of course.
We here do very good roast haunch of goat.
I'll keep that in mind for dinner.
Yeah, leaves you to it while sorting out bits and pieces for whatever lunch rush they happen to have, unless anybody has any questions they want to ask him or poor drunk guy who's in killingly honest mode, apparently.
Jillian will just drink for a bit, and then use the little cowgirl's room, and then accidentally bump into the drunk's chair on her way back to the bar. Begging your pardon.
Lady Lexi, you don't gotta beg for nothing. You got too much gun for that.
Need it out in these places, don't we?
I'm more of a shotgun man myself.
Whatever gets the job done.
So you're out hunting big game, are you?
That's right.
Well, I'd personally say that there's things need bullets more than whatever's crawling around the wastes, but that's just me. I imagine, though, that if you were to hunt something up, you'd have to be real dang careful what. The folks around here, they like their beasts. They think they keep them safe.
Well, when we range out again, we can shoot anything. It'll be far from here, but you've seen things closer to town.
Oh, they come through town most evenings. Every now and again, folks go missing. It's mostly it was all right so long as they had the mark on the door. It's getting so that everybody's putting one on their door, whether they earned it or not. So people are getting a little more into it. So yeah, whatever they can catch is a sacrifice. So hopefully they won't go stealing the ones.
That's strange, but all sorts of strange things out here.
Didn't say there weren't. Just saying that I personally think that things like that out there probably need a good shooting. But I'm not in the majority, and I don't want to go into the stocks again.
Well, I won't say nothing to anyone else around here.
If they're gonna give me problems over what I have to say, I reckon at some point I'm just gonna antagonize the fuckers until they kill me outright. I had it with this. Had it with them. Had it with their New Eden, whatever this is supposed to be. If this is supposed to be what paradise is supposed to look like, I don't want no part of it. They say heaven for the weather and hell for the company, but this place has got... Seems like it's the other way around, this place.
How on earth?
That's not what they're saying up the hill.
Who's they, exactly?
Preachers, his Bible groupies. New Bible groupies. I think he's done some editing work on the good book. And anyone who doesn't want to stint in the stocks, dunking in the well or worse. If you got a grain of sense in your head and you're a local, you follow along with the new preacher man, and you don't say or do nothing to contradict it. But you know what? I'm too old, too ornery, and way too drunk to give a shit.
We all do what we gotta to survive.
Yeah, I'm a little past caring about that. I'm gonna die soon anyway. Don't want to do it being good enough for their last rites. I ain't so sure that some of the people who got last rites the last little while have actually been on death's door at all.
These folks spend most of their time in the church.
Not most of their time, but enough. They got some kind of new holy relic. They don't talk about it all that much, not in here. This is where they go to get away from all that. Or they try to. Conversation always winds up around back there some. But the general store ladies wind up twittering about what amazing holy relic got sent to them as proof of the rightness of their cause, and
Oh, that's all well beyond me.
well, you're as kind as you're pretty to listen to an old man's drunken ramblings.
She leaves a couple more coppers on the table before him. I always appreciate good conversation.
Hey.
Starts.
Yeah, he's more stammering in a thank you kind of direction than anything else. This is more kindness than anything he has seen in town for quite some time.
Jillian will go to an empty table and beckon Reba over.
I figure Reba probably already found a table just to colonize a table that will look out over the street. So, yeah, you two are seated at your table, a couple of range riders, taking in a beer and taking in the sights, and giving Reba, she's an well, she's a wise woman. She would have got something that was out of earshot of the barman, but was also unfortunately out of earshot of drunken gentleman now that he's actually lowered his voice.
Jillian leans in. They've got something in the church, and they call it a holy relic.
3 guesses what that is, and the first 2 don't count.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's the girl, but
That's not where I was going. Let's just say Aloy's going to be pissed.
Yeah, she ain't the only one.
Time and place. Keep it even.
Of course.
Are you going to mention the reason for the blood on the doors? Because you know now.
Yeah, it takes a drink. Apparently, monsters go right down the street after dark, snatch up anyone not inside under one of the houses with the blood over the threshold.
Monsters, I'm assuming you don't mean the people in the church.
No. I don't think there's much that can ward them off.
I can think of a few things, but anyway, it's neither here nor there.
There's some number up at the church. Sounds like they follow the preacher quite a bit, so
Also,
I've
I
got a
would
few
like
things.
I would like to remind you that the blood on the door has escalated because it doesn't always work, which is why you found the jackalope nailed to somebody's door. Because remember, Reba didn't hear any of that.
So, so the blood's supposed to be warding. What's the whole?
Usually, at least.
All right.
It's not like these folks have anywhere else they can go to get away from it, so.
Any word on how long? I mean, we don't have much time to sit, but
No. But we can.
Yeah, you
Right.
guys have been in there for about 20 minutes. You're okay for the moment.
oh, no, I wasn't worried about that. It just,
When
it's
those
just you
two,
know,
when those two get back, we can take
Right.
a walk down the street, see if we can get an eye on the jail. I don't know if we should risk going near the church at all.
No,
Even
I don't
without the
think- no.
preacher, he's got his own band there,
not yet.
but we can come back in the evening. Though, be a poor idea to leave the horses on the outskirts after dark.
No.
Hey, Reba.
We can.
I mean, eagles don't have great night vision, but if you wanted to take an aerial view at night,
Owl, actually.
oh, I was smart enough to do that for you. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yes, so you do suddenly remember that if I want
It's still new, so it didn't register right off.
Yeah.
So she's like, actually, you're. I can literally fly over town.
and given churches have steeples, and an owl is still relatively local, native to the area. If you happen to perch on things and look around. So yeah, that's Reba going, wait, I can do all that. Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Remember the bit with the cat? There's others I can do too. I think if the visions didn't steer me wrong, and I don't think they did in this case, or rather my interpretation didn't steer me wrong, more to the point, turtle, bear, and owl are their options.
It'll make scouting an awful lot easier.
Well, assuming you're assuming owls are, well, they're local to this area, but we may wind up in a situation where they're not, in which case, but yeah.
All the more reason to wait till after dark.
Oh, that and owls don't see particularly well in light, so...
Yeah, no, if I'm going to do it, it's going to have to be after dark, because, well, I can't bloody see very well.
Fair enough.
Plus, it'd look weird. Owl flying around in the daytime.
Yeah, it would
You're not
be
there.
the sight.
Shush you.
Right. So we'll just get back and...
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, meantime,
Be
General...
right back. 30 seconds.
Meanwhile, General Store is actually the better stocked one you've seen in a while. And it's a trade hub, so they do their own shopping from the people coming through from other safer areas. Before they head out for their, ultimate destinations. It's a good way to put extra coin in pockets. So you've got a goodly array of travel foods and canned goods, and you can actually restock your paper even.
That makes me wonder if they have enough of the miscellaneous things I'd need to use to put together into something explosive.
You're a smart woman. Buying explosives here.
Yeah, that's why I'm just looking to see if they have it in case I need to steal it later.
Oh my god. Not in that shop. But there are other shops that aren't just. But there's also, while you're picking up the various necessities of life, group of, that particular type of country farm wife, the gossipy, church-going, somewhere in the it's all in the dresses and the deportment that it's just they're
Oh my god.
they're church gabblers. There's more of them and they're more churchy.
Oh Christ!
It's my ex-mother-in-law.
It's yeah, it's that plus there's a certain scarlet letter puritanish sort of aspect to their dress and general demeanor, because for all they're doing the gossiping, they're also more serious in a way than you're used to seeing. They're not giggly. They're not. I mean, they're doing that breathy. I have seen God kind of coo. It's very much a Jim Jones kind of Stockholm syndrome bit of bullshit. And currently, they are
Are
gossiping.
any of my supplies near enough for me to? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is there any of the supplies I'm picking up that's near enough for me to listen in?
I was going to assume so, yes, because what is the point of having them talking if you're not going to be able to, at the very least, approach them?
Yeah. I'm going to just sort of try to move near or past and be close enough to hear.
Well, you can basically
Things up.
you can basically be in the next shelf over, because they're in and around kind of haberdashery, picking up little bits and bobs for sewing kits and what have you, and you can be looking at the paper and various bits of ink bottle, that kind of thing, and listening to them. And because they're doing the hush hush coo coo, oh my god, oh wow, kind of thing, you're not really getting that much in the way of specifics. What you are getting is that the preacher man and his chief acolyte brought a holy relic in from their travels. And they're talking about how it speeds the rewriting of the world. And apparently, their preacher man is going to be back for a whole week preaching the new gospel. And remaking some of the blasphemy they once worshipped. Apparently, he's already working on the copies of the Bible in their church. Apparently, the school marms books that sneering about so-called science weren't even worthy of being remade. They were just burned in front of her. But they've already remade the Bibles in the church, and for the next week or so, starting with the faithful and the worthy, are going to be remaking the family Bibles in his new image. The phrase New Eden comes up a few times in the description of this town.
Get explosives. I'm half tempted to see if there's any rail spikes and things that could be fashioned into a rail gun later.
Given that you're apparently not quite muttering this to yourself and probably not doing a poker face, it's wonderful that their perception rolled a 4 and they're far too busy in their off-time exaltation to be paying the remotest bit of attention to you.
Now that I've got the stuff, and I'm just like, okay, continue sneaking mission. And I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah.
just to orbit. Sorry, I'm blanking on names right now.
Louis?
Louis.
Just to go orbit Louis.
Yeah, by the time you're listening in on that particular bit of conversation is finished, because they were talking around it in circles in the way of the fervent and misguidedly zealous. Louis is looking at her and it's like, so did you get everything you need? We still got to pay for all this, you know?
Yep.
While facing away from the gentleman at the counter, looks at you. Because remember, you're not supposed to be talking. We spent a little bit too much time up north a while back. Had some business for a trophy collector. And unfortunately, she fell in with a bit of a bad crowd and is kind of working the accent, and we're trying to beat it back out of her. Because she knows I don't want to hear it, not after the last time.
I'm going to try and put on I'm completely clueless expression.
Thankfully, that does sell it. Plus, Louis is apparently the kind of could talk the birds from the trees, and then sing them a duet kind of individual. So he's kind of he pays for the various bits of supplies and divides up the various bags between you. It's going to be a bit of a gonna be a bit of a struggle carrying everything, but at least you can divide the load, excuse me, among 4 of you when you get to the saloon. In fact, the gentleman behind the counter is like, you gonna need any help with that? No, we got a couple of friends waiting on us down the saloon. It's only down the block. We're gonna be fine. Thanks kindly. And nudges Aloy out. She's probably still giving the individuals that side eye, so she's getting nudged with boxo supplies out the door. It's very reminiscent of what Muffin did this morning.
Yep. As I'm getting shoved, I just default to the therp expression.
Yeah. And around about the time that your conversation's ending, so you're still kind of 20 minutes, half an hour from when you first cast your disguised self. This bunch step in, and Louis in his disguise is like, didn't even think to set us up a couple of beers? Damn! And here we are lugging your supplies too.
Thank you.
I'll get it. I hope you got us a quiet table. We've been listening to those peahens from probably the church way gabbing.
It's quiet till you got here.
Well, then we just livened up the place. And this gets a beer for himself and for Aloy, and comes back. I was too busy doing your shopping to be paying all that much attention, I gotta say. So, what have we got?
Okay,
Reba just looks
quietly,
at Jillian.
Well, it looks like Jillian's looking at Aloy, and Aloy is probably dropped to the derp. And
Yeah,
so
the
you can
derp
just,
expression is gone.
and it's now being replaced by
Just this, an expression that, thankfully, because of the illusion, looks just disgruntled and not mind-bogglingly furious.
drink your beer, darling.
I have things I want to say and items I need to procure.
So I'm judging by that look on your face that you heard about the holy relic.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep it even. Keep it even. We'll deal with it.
Are you going to tell them what they're doing with the relic?
The relic is the least of the problem. What they're doing with it is worse. They're starting to call this place New Eden and saying it accelerates the change.
You remember that the hypercharged
out of character, I remember. I'm just letting her.
Yeah.
It's
The way that. Oh, you mean the way. Oh, the way the like the writing.
the corruptive shit.
Yeah, the writing and all that. Okay.
Yeah, the energy distribution, the wavelength, the weird shit it does in general. The reason why, after doing the math, I found out that plugging it into any of my kit is a bad idea, and why I am going to blast that place into the next dimension from as high up or far away or in any way I can at first opportunity. That hill is not going to exist by the time we're done here.
So what exactly are they changing? They gotta be changing something that's something specific. Or
that relic is a piece of ghost rock from the Reckoner's realm.
where the hell did they get that?
It landed in our laps when we got dumped there not too long ago, and then afterwards the priest stole it from us.
Sorry, this one doesn't seem to think it landed in your lap.
It was more we landed in its.
Okay, so you decided to bring it with you to experiment on it.
I put it in a can, I sealed it up, I had the precautions attached to it, and he walked off with it anyway.
So you decided to take a bit with you to experiment.
Fortunately, at this point, yes.
Well, we can't do anything about it now, so I'm not going to dwell on
Besides-
that, but I'd like to be in possession of all the facts and you own what you did. So, how do they... Are they changing people, things? What?
Well, they were starting with books, and given what that thing does with, well, if paper or anything is exposed to it, the energy imbues into it, which makes the object itself a corrupting item. If he does that to every single personal Bible of every single family in this area, it'll start warping them. And I mean warping. Easier possession, body modification, anything.
Well, I'm trusting the one who's doing the maths on this, so if you're going to look dubious, then... Nah. But,
No,
so...
no, on that. No, on that.
So,
There's dubious.
changing the congregation and the Bibles to start with.
Mm-hmm. Given what changing the objects turns them into, and the influence those will subsequently have on the people, it's more just indirect, massive exposure to the item.
So, they didn't have anything to say about the blood and the jackalope and the other things that I saw nailed to doors.
That wards off monsters that go through the streets after dark.
Actual creatures. We're not the. We're not talking about the church.
But I'm thinking to myself that I'm guessing that they stepped up from just blood given actual animals, but I'm wondering to myself, I mean, there's a lot of natural nasty out there. What happens if that gets exposed to your relic
It mutates.
and gets even worse and stronger?
Many levels worse.
And
What's
that
coming?
and that nailing of things to doors proves how far you're willing to go to appease folks. Things.
I'm willing
They
to
don't have
bet
much
that the
other
things
options.
coming through town are either coming out of the church via some kind of portal construction. I would not be surprised. Or they're being attracted to it. One or the other, it's the same result. Critters coming through town.
Yeah, to be fair, they ain't generally speaking got. I mean, yeah, there's always stuff on the outskirts. We've been more or less safe, but that's only because of what I can actually do. But actually coming into a habitation that's new. Man, I didn't look too close at nobody's doors before.
So it's either a really powerful magnet, or they're just making more of them. Aforementioned portal thing.
It is a fair possibility. Chances are there that he either lures them from the wastes or he summons new things himself.
We got dumped through several portals last base of operations we saw of theirs.
Well, yeah, but honestly, if they're trying to upgrade the level of hell in this place. I imagine they'd be more summoning what's already there and seeing if they can't find a way to make it spread through something that doesn't stay in one place.
Yep.
So corrupting what's already here would be a start to that, and that means I'm not gonna be getting much sleep for a while if those things are running through town. And going after.
I have a field I can generate that at least masks an area. If I had more wire, I could make a bigger field.
No, you made enough for the maximum of your field. It's just how much of it you expend at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need more wire. You have all the wire you need.
Okay. I could put up a field around the property, I think.
Still doesn't mean I'm gonna get much sleep. Do we have any ideas for looking at more of the town?
Look to Reba.
I can. I can fly over the town as an owl. Night.
Good enough
Potentially,
start.
yeah. Potentially go to the church.
Well, we're not that our place isn't that far from town. Even in a walk, as the owl flies, I figure it's even quicker. So
Yeah.
instead of hovering at the outskirts that time of night, but given what you're all saying about creatures, when we come back, if we have, I mean, we're gonna have to come back, but if we're coming back under cover of darkness, we probably ought to be prepared for a fight.
Sound of
Yeah. If any, if there's anywhere here that provides things I could put together into explosives and we spend enough time stashing them around.
We're not
we
blowing
could
up the
have-
whole damn town.
No, I'm
There's a
not talking that.
We're not blowing up the church, neither.
Also, while I wish I could do that, I figure that's not the case. I was thinking more preset traps that we could lead creatures into if we got into a fight.
Collateral damage. There are still some innocent folks in this town.
Gonna have to avoid fights for as long as we can.
And if there is a critter that we gotta face, I'm not gonna aerosolize it. If it's getting changed by whatever relic, whatever they got, I don't want to be breathing in corrupted blood. Gonna be bad enough just shooting. Now, come on, these disguises ain't gonna last forever. We'll come back out. Well, Reba will come back out tonight. And if we get a feel for where we need to be starting, we can go from there. But come on. I spun him a bit of a tale about how we left the horses outside of town, so it's gonna sound like we were camping out there, so we don't gotta sneak out.
Good.
I don't know what kind of
Up and away then.
I don't know what kind of dinner time rumors y'all want to be listening to, but I reckon we got enough to be starting with for now.
It'd be good to come back.
Yeah,
Watch the crowds in for dinner. But
his
let's get moving.
his faux accent's slipping a little bit, as clearly because he's very worried and he doesn't want to leave town without Cassie. But instead, he divvies up the supplies into 4 instead of 2. And off you yomp back for the farmstead. And because we're at that time, we will pick up next week with I don't know, Assassin's Creed style scouting mission.
Eagle vision, but owl vision.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say was that when we got out of any kind of earshot from anybody, that Reba was going to tell Louis that she'd try to see what she could about looking in at the jail too.
I figured that, but thank you.
Yeah, just to specifically have it said that she would do that as well. Cool.
It's appreciated. It doesn't make it any easier to be leaving, though.
I know.
But again, Owl Vision next week, and we'll see you tomorrow for. There's going to be some conversations tomorrow. Yeah, there are some people who are kind of pissed at you, Darwin. In fact, there is
falling over.
In fact, there is a platinum dragon who is not overly impressed with you, and Remy will have more details on that one. Anyway,
Once we get some sleep.
well, you had a long nap, okay? So, anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow.